Thank you all for being here. I want to welcome everybody to the call. This is a different kind of environment. This is the annual 2021 legislative breakfast where our community takes the opportunity to engage with our elected officials in their offices and to kind of express what our community desires and needs. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time this morning to participate. I especially want to thank everybody for registering early. It was very helpful for us. And I want to give kind of a little breakdown about what today's event's going to be like so people are aware. And then I want to introduce the core partners of the East Bay Legislative Coalition and also introduce the legislative aides and offices that are present so people have an idea who's who. So I'll start with myself. My name is Mike Pereira. I am the Executive Director of Alacosta Centers, which is a service provider that is in Berkeley. And I'm one of the co-chairs of the East Bay Legislative Coalition. I want to introduce my co-chair, since I'm the co-chair. Go ahead, Will.
Hi, I'm Will Sanford. I am the co-chair of the East Bay Legislative Coalition, representing the Contra Costa County DD Council.
Okay, thank you. Sheridan?
Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you all today. I'm Sheridan Nicolau with the California State Council on Developmental Disabilities.
Lisa?
Morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Kleinbub. I'm the Executive Director at Regional Center of the East Bay.
Geneva?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am the Vice President of Manos Home Care, and I serve as the co-chair currently for the Provider Vendor Advisory Committee.
And Sister Mary Grace, if you're on the call. I'm not sure Sister Mary Grace is here just yet, which is fine.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm here. Good morning, good morning. I'm Sister Mary Grace with East Bay Services to the Developmentally Disabled, and I co-chair with Geneva the Provider Vendor Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Sister, for being here. If anybody's interested, our contact information for all the 6 people, the core partners of the EBLC. I'm sorry, I missed 2 people too, sorry. Ben Chen, please.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, good morning, everyone. Good to see everybody here. I'm Ben Chen. I'm the coordinator for Alameda County's Developmental Disabilities Council.
And Vi.
Good morning, all. Vi Ibarra. I'm staff for the Developmental Disabilities Council in Contra Costa County.
I was just saying before, sorry, that our contact information will be located at the end of the slides today, at the end of the presentation for anybody who's interested in connecting with any of us. Thank you all for being here today. I wanted to take a moment here to also have people from the legislative offices that are present to introduce themselves. I'd like to start with Representative DeSaulnier's office.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tara Kopp. I am a district representative with Congressman Mark DeSaulnier's office. Happy to see you all.
Thanks for being here, Tara. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
The next person I'd like to introduce is the representative from Assemblymember Bauer Cahan's office, if she's here. Not sure if she's here just yet. Let's move to Representative Khanna's office, if she's here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Swapanthi Mandalika. I'm the Director of Constituent Services in Congressman Khanna's district office. Very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming, Swapanthi. It's nice to see you. There's somebody from Assemblymember Quirk's office.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Karishma. I'm a field representative in the Assemblymember's office. Happy to be here.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time today. Andre from Senator Wajkowski's office.
Good morning, everyone. This is Andre. I'm a senior field representative from Senator Wajkowski's office, who represents the 10th district, and that's Southern Alameda County and parts of Northern Santa Clara County. I look forward to hearing from you today, and thank you so much for your advocacy.
A representative from Senator Glazer's office.
Good morning, everybody. My name is George Scutia, Jr. I am Senator Steve Glazer's district director, and we represent the 7th Senate District, which includes most of Contra Costa County, east of the Oakland Hills, and the Tri-Valley area of Alameda County. It is a pleasure to be here this morning.
Thank you for being here, George. A representative from Assemblymember Grayson's office. I'm not sure if Alejandra is here yet. Let's go to a representative from Senator Skinner's office, if she's here. Oh, I don't see Sherry here either. Okay. And then finally, a representative from Assemblymember Wick's office.
Good morning, everyone. Uche Wahem from Assemblymember Wick's office. Her senior district field rep. Good to see you all.
Good morning, Uche. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here, my friend. So thank you all for attending, and thank you again to the legislative offices that have taken the time this morning out of their busy schedule to meet with you guys, the constituents. So again, just kind of a brief rundown of what today's event's going to be. We're going to start off with a really brief presentation led by Will and I, and then move into a couple of short films that I'd like to share with our offices. And then we're going to be able to break out into some groups and might have a visit from a legislator to say a few words a little later on in the program. Those breakout rooms will be led by breakout leads, and they're geared to be able to put constituents directly with legislative offices in your districts. So an opportunity for you guys to talk to the myriad of stakeholders that we have. So without further ado, I just want to share my screen and we'll get moving. Thank you all again for attending today. Okay, Will.
All right, thanks, guys. Just for people's information, the East Bay Legislative Coalition has been around for a number of years. It's made up of the main partners, but it's really supported by our entire community of advocates, family members, service providers to really sort of build and push forward on the agenda of how to improve the lives of the people we support every day. So that's really the focus of this group. And so this is just a continuation of trying to make that happen. Go ahead, Mike. So ultimately, this all started with the Lanterman Act. We're now in over 50 years of being with the Lanterman Act. It really establishes that, the state of California has pledged to support individuals and their families to live, work, and play in their communities. I mean, ultimately, that's really what we want people to do. We want them to have choice of services and to be safe and productive contributors to our community. And that's what we really strive to uphold and push for. So overall, right now, as of the end of last year, we had about 350,000 individuals. The budget for next year projects will grow to just over 380,000 individuals to do that. Mike's jumping ahead of me here as far as that.
Sorry.
In the regional center of the East Bay, so our catchment area is Alameda and Contra Costa counties. We currently serve over 21,000 individuals between the two counties. And ultimately, in this larger scope, disability really impacts 1 in 5 Californians. So 1 in 5 of us has the the potential of having a disability, either temporary or permanent. And so it's a significant part of our community and needs to be recognized and supported. So when we look at it, the split is about 12,000 individuals with developmental disabilities, infants, children, adults, and seniors. Regional Center system covers everybody in their lifespan. 12,000 plus in Alameda County. Again, that number grows. The growth has been slowed over the last year due to COVID, but as things start to pick up, we expect that we'll get back on track for growing at between 5 and 6% a year. So what's the biggest push? Right now, we're really pushing for federal support. Obviously, COVID has been a major cost and expense to our community and the state in general. So we really are focusing our efforts on trying to really make sure that the vaccination program reaches out. And most importantly, we want to make sure that the individuals we support with developmental disabilities are in the front of the line also. Right now, it's more based on where they live and age than, we have folks with pretty significant challenges that would benefit and would become safer from that. Again, we expect without significant federal assistance, California's budget over the next few years will be significantly impacted without strong federal support, and the IDD community would be impacted even further. One of the things that we have been able to do, thanks to the Department of Developmental Services, is that it has been identified that the workforce that supports our folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities is a Tier 1A status. So they have the ability to get in line and get vaccinated, just like other healthcare workers, which is key. As we know, we really want to make sure that we increase access to vaccine for our other folks, the folks that we support who are not living in congregate settings, living on their own, but have support staff coming into their homes, getting them into Tier 1B. The State Council on Developmental Disabilities and ARCA and a whole lot of our advocacy groups are really pushing the governor right now to try and increase that so that our folks are really recognized as being at high risk. Which we have a couple of things that have really come out that folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities have a much higher fatality rate than many of the normal population, regardless of age. So it's one of those things that we really want to highlight and say we really want to make sure our folks are protected to the degree that we really can. When we look at it, have been doing a really good job. So this is a quick slide that sort of says, in RCB, about 1.75, just under 2% of our regional center clients have been COVID positive versus the, statewide, it's a little over 3%. So we've done better than overall, but overall, it's still a significant number. When we look at lives lost, regional center of the East Bay has had 9 people who have passed away due to COVID. So again, just trying to give some flavor to that, where it's slightly higher rate than the overall state mortality rate at about 2.5%.
Will, if I might, one thing to really impress upon the group, and especially for the legislative offices, which aligns with the data or the information given before, is that right now, looking at the statewide numbers for mortality, 3 million plus cases, 10,000 lives lost, which is terrible. The mortality rate for that's about 1.2%. If you look at our community within the state of California, it's operating at 3 times that rate. And that is essentially what they're seeing on a national basis based on the New York Times article and recent data that's been from the state. So just to give some context about that.
Thanks, Mike. So overall, we also tend to look at things by, ethnicity, what our backgrounds are and sort of the populations. And as you can see, for folks, it's really important that our Latinx population is now almost 40% of the individuals served statewide. In regional East Bay, it's lower. Variations on that, again, it's based on where we are. So this simply is a slide that sort of points out where those people are and what our percentages of those who've tested positive. Is 280 clients. One of the challenge in COVID reporting is timing. Different reports come out at different times, so things may not always add up nice and neatly. Another, when it looks at it, we follow along with the trends. We have had, where are folks getting diagnosed by age?
Sorry, my fault.
Hey, we always love it. But and the key question is, where do people live? And this is sort of where people are coming from. Again, nursing homes or large facilities is a significant one, as are community care facilities. So group homes, supported living, and independent living. There's a lot of folks who are living at home. And so one of the critical pieces that we want to make sure that families who are supporting someone at home due to the shelter in place are also eligible to be vaccinated so that they also can protect both themselves and the individuals that they're supporting.
So it's my turn now. So when we're looking at, as Will pointed out, the backdrop in which our community currently exists is like the rest of the world. We are living through COVID, trying to get people vaccinated, both our staff and the people who we serve. But there are some underlying challenges that the system has had and that we're asking for as a community, and points of emphasis that we want to make related to the ongoing challenges that our system has had for quite some time. The first of which is related to the workforce. Our direct support professionals, many of whom are on this call, and again, thank you for all your hard work during this very challenging time in providing service directly. They are essential workers. And these are the things that they need are no different than any other American. They need a living wage. They need to have some recognition for what they've been able to do as a frontline worker. And they need to have more workforce development and training. And that's been really made more evident based upon what we're dealing with now with COVID, especially in areas of technology. As you can see, we're trying to work that out on today. That's what we're doing. We're operating now in a different sphere of influence, a different world. And the fact is that our DSPs are undervalued and underpaid. Now, most of them are working minimum wage jobs, roles, and working multiple jobs. And it's, as with a lot of industries, it is still a challenge for us to recruit and retain staff, to train them well. And one way that our state legislators can help is by, and we'll talk about this more directly at the end, but to kind of eliminate the suspension language that's put in the budget. And where the federal people in the room can help is by supporting home and community-based services funding. Those are critical for us to be able to not only obviously compensate our workforce effectively, but also give them the skills they need in order to best support the people we serve. When we look at another primary issue is housing, again, mentioning our workforce, but also the people we serve, there just isn't enough of it. And I know that's an ongoing challenge for, especially here in the Bay Area. But we really need to have a commitment to investing and supporting housing programs and projects that will include our community. Oftentimes, we aren't necessarily at the table for some of those conversations, and that's something that the IDD community in general, certainly nationwide, but here in the Bay, would really like to see improvements on. The fact is that only 11% of individuals with IDD live in homes that they actually own or rent, and that's throughout the whole state. And also, 80% of the people in our community live at home. So when their family members age, they're no longer to provide that kind of support, there aren't a lot of options for them to go. And one of the things that was highlighted during the COVID situation was congregate settings and some of the challenges around that related to this pandemic. Again, this is an ongoing issue, an ongoing framework that we'd like to have for consideration for assistance from our elected officials. The next section is the next kind of key, I guess, leg in the tripod, for lack of a better term, is our community needs to improve our access. And what's been glaringly obvious, again, more recently, as a result of us, as organizations and service providers and families having to adapt to this, this pandemic, is that there's a significant digital divide. And there's a lack of understanding of what kind of accommodations are necessary for both COVID testing and vaccination administration for people with IDD. Those are areas that, again, we'd like to have more formally recognized by both the federal and state governments, and not just in funding, but in terms of how we go about those practices. Transportation is another picadillo as well. I mean, before the pandemic, public transportation was already difficult for our community. And it's only made worse, and those dynamics have been very much challenged, is the best way to put it. So we're looking for some support there too. Some one-time spending, some targeted ways to utilize that. And on the federal side, we'd like to see that the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services actually classify internet availability as an access challenge instead of a utility. And those are just examples of things that we are going to be talking about in our breakout rooms, and certainly to give you a flavor of that from our participants and our stakeholders that are on the call today. So next, the thing that it's really important for our elected officials to understand, or legislative aides that are here tonight, and it's something that our community knows very well. We are not a single entity. We are a group that has multiple facets to it. This is a nonpartisan group. This is a group that is representative of multiple communities, and we've demonstrated that by our community being involved in collaborating on strong intersectional tasks that are happening here in the state of California, including the Master Plan for Aging, including the Master Plan for Early Childhood Learning and Care, having ongoing discussions of their inclusion into housing availability. And more importantly, the fact that our community is not, again, singular. We cross over all kinds of things, including race and gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, and the challenges that are happening for most Californians are certainly weighing heavily on our community as well, in the areas of retaining a job, making sure that we have wage balance, learning gap for students that are younger, that are in the school systems right now, that are struggling, especially in communities, struggling to access curriculum. Again, the digital divide in housing. So that's where we're kind of operating from right now, and those are the types of things that we're looking for. And I think right now we have a couple of films we'd like to show, kind of demonstrating a little bit about our system and a little bit about kind of the impact on how COVID is. So Will, why don't you start, please?
Today, we are accompanying Juan and his sister Maria. Juan has autism, one of several developmental disabilities. Maria wants to find out why Juan can't get the support he needs to live and grow up in their community. Let's meet Juan. Juan is 13 and wants to do all the usual things teenagers like. He enjoys drawing, swimming, and playing video games on his phone. Maria asks her mother about getting help for Juan. Their mother says she went to the regional center with Juan and met with his case manager. The case manager gave her the paperwork and said the agency called Always Helping will set up service to help Juan after school while she is working. But nothing ever happened. What kind of help for Juan is Maria talking about? California provides support services for people with developmental disabilities. These services assist people to learn, work, play, and live normal lives in their community. Maria and Juan speak to Carmen, who runs Always Helping. Carmen explains that she needs a worker to help Juan, but can't find one. She almost convinced Julio down at the hamburger joint, but he hasn't applied. When Juan and Maria talk to Julio at the hamburger joint, he explains that he would like to work at Always Helping, but can earn more money making hamburgers than supporting people with disabilities at Always Helping. Plus, his schedule is stable, the work is easy, and he can become a manager someday. Why can't Carmen pay more money to her workers? The state pays a low price to Always Helping for its service. The low price forces Always Helping to pay low wages to its workers. Meanwhile, other businesses pay higher wages for simpler work. That means there is no worker to support Juan. The state must pay for the actual costs needed to provide services for Juan and others. So Julio will work for Always Helping. So Always Helping can rent office space, pay for insurance, and other business expenses. Juan will get the services he needs when the state pays for what they really cost. The state guarantees support services to all Californians with developmental disabilities. These services are not luxuries. They are civil rights people need. The state is finally considering new prices for services. Now is the time for people with disabilities, their family and friends, the agencies who support them, and all Californians to join together to make sure the state pays for quality developmental disability services.
We have had more changes in staff in my group home, making it really hard for my administrator to take care of 13 people.
I do miss work. I miss going out working. A lot of the students that I work with are struggling because they're not getting that human contact, that human interaction. And it's especially difficult for our students that don't have a lot of technology skills because they're kind of locked out of the opportunities that are available on Zoom, either because they don't have the technology to participate, or they do, but they don't have somebody that can really walk them through the basics of using email.
I started off working as a DSP as to where I provided personal care, and I also assisted in the classrooms with data tracking, basically under the instructor's guidance. Since the COVID-19 hit us, we are now transitioning and being trained to assist with online classes. And thank God that I wasn't affected by the COVID-19 too much because I did stay employed with you guys' help. I think we all appreciate what you guys have done for us.
Our role is to kind of help them feel still connected.
What I spend a lot more time doing for my families now is networking. Not networking my clients together, but listening to how some families have solved the childcare or lack of therapy problem and sharing it with other families who have similar needs.
Children aren't receiving the same respite support. So that's been really the hardest piece for me to watch is people who are kind of stranded at home with their children who are behavioral and feeling helplessness about that.
Housing, it is impacted to where the office is always closed. I have to knock on the door, say, hey, let me in, let me give you my rent check. They will not come to my house. It is a mess there.
How important it is to have housing, affordable housing?
It was very, very important.
Would you be able to live in the Bay Area if you didn't have affordable housing?
No, I won't be able to. I would have to stay with family.
When the pandemic hit, it is not safe to take Bart to work in person, so I am doing my internship online.
When I was having to attend a program, it was sometimes difficult for me to be able to work on some of the things that I wanted to do for my goals, either because I didn't have the time because I had to attend, or when I did have the time, I didn't have the energy because I was having to drive through some heavy traffic for an hour each way.
I actually was hit hard with the bus system shutting down because of this whole pandemic. I relied on the bus to get to work on time when that was my rock I was counting on. And then when the COVID hit, it took away some of my confidence and my spirit when this all hit at once.
My group home in Oakland does not have good internet connection, so I have had to miss out on some classes. I had to buy my own computer because the computers in my house are not reliable.
The doctor cannot see what's wrong with you physically. They can just you can just tell them, oh, I have this backache, or I had this pain, this or there, or whatever it is, and it's really hard.
I've had to deal with going to school online, having to talk to my teacher online. One improvement is I've actually gotten to talk to celebrities who I normally don't get to see in person, but I actually get to learn about different parts of the artistic life that they've lived and different parts of acting, writing, and stuff, and applying it to my actual life.
My name is Hannah Michelson. I'm the Program Director at Care Parent Network, a family resource center serving families of kids with disabilities in Contra Costa County. I'm also the parent of a 17-year-old, almost 18-year-old son who has autism, and COVID has been really rough for him and for our family as a result. Our son, without COVID, goes full-time to a special day class at the high school level. He really misses seeing his class and his teachers. When everything first shut down in March, he didn't understand why he couldn't go to school, why if we couldn't go to school, we couldn't go do all of our favorite activities, go to the zoo, go to museums, go to the beach even. He lost all of his in-home services. We had a behavior program that was 10 hours a week in home, and that shut down immediately. Right now it is only resumed to 3 hours a week over Zoom. Accessing Zoom now, even in the fall, is difficult for him. He needs a lot of in-person support even while he's on Zoom, and that is a challenge as my husband and I both work full-time.
I can't go out because of the COVID-19 to restaurants, to the movies. I can't see my friends at Zumba at all.
Now that the COVID is here, I cannot ride transportation. I cannot go to church.
It's like, like some schools are letting students back in and ours is not. Well, my school's kind of like the school where it's not letting people back in, but also yet again, my school is like the very protective type to the point that's annoying. So.
I actually had lost my job with the city of Brentwood due to the whole COVID, so we had to break our contract with them. So I'm not working right now.
Thank you very much. And thank you to Mono's Home Care and Futures Explore or Futures Films for producing those videos. I'd like to introduce Congressman Eric Swalwell, who's been very kind enough to join us today on the call. And he'd like an opportunity to share with the group. Congressman Swalwell, thank you very much for attending our meeting today. I know you're very busy.
Of course. Thank you, Mike. And those testimonials were very moving, and just a reminder about how important it is to continue this work, even and especially in a pandemic. I just wanted to give you all an update. I'm back in Washington. I was home earlier this week. Yesterday, I was at a veterans senior home in an Eden housing facility in Hayward, serving food to folks in that facility. And again, just seeing the rising needs of the most vulnerable in our community. And then the best part of the day was I was able to go to a vaccination site at Castro Valley High School. And while I know for most right now, eligibility is still a little bit a ways away, just seeing the looks on people's faces as they came in, people were streaming tears of joy that they were getting vaccinated. People were talking about being able to see loved ones that they have not seen in a year. So it was heartening. It was a light at the end of the tunnel that we all need. And certainly a different picture for all of us than a year ago when we convened. And so I just want to thank the East Bay Legislative Coalition. I want to tell you my priorities in Congress. I'm back in Washington right now for the next few weeks as we begin a Senate trial for the impeachment of former President Trump. I'm one of the 9 managers who will be trying the case, but that doesn't mean that's the most important thing I'm doing. The most important thing I'm doing is working with my colleagues to find as much COVID relief as we can to get to the people, the mouths, the hearts, the homes that need it as quickly as possible. So that means additional stimulus checks we hope will be on the way in the next month. That means state and local governments and their needs. And I know that for the IDD community, so much of that comes from state and local funding. That also means just increasing the vaccination programs that we have so that we're able to get everyone vaccinated as soon as possible. Also separate from COVID relief funding for the IDD community, and I see my friend Ron on here as well, big advocate for making sure that we have an extension of the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, what are called FMAP increases that are due to expire, as well as increased funding for in-home and community-based services, and also to have more targeted dollars for the digital divide. I do see an opportunity not just to have stimulus checks, but what we've learned from this pandemic is one of the testimonials mentioned, there is a real digital divide, and to invest in connecting the disconnected by making infrastructure improvements in broadband and making sure that every American has the ability to work from home, learn from home, communicate with their family members from home. So again, you have a supporter in me and the people in my office, and if I can help in any way, I'm going to just tap right in here in the chat my email address. So please, if there's a specific need that I or my office can help with, just send it our way and I'll make sure that we get on it. But again, I'm just very grateful that during one of the most trying times in the last 100 years, that the East Bay Legislative Coalition is stepping up for the people who need it the most. So thank you all.
Thank you, Congressman Swalwell. Very kind for you to join us. I know you're very busy, and really appreciate all of the advocacy and effort you've done on behalf of our community and the stakeholders there, and especially how well versed you are with the issues that are related with us. So thank you again for your time. I know you've got to bounce. So again, thanks so much. Our thanks again to Congressman Swalwell for spending a little bit of his day to speak with us. We're now going to be moving into breakout rooms. Everybody on this call will be directed into another room where we'll be led by someone in the room, will be a breakout lead, and they'll help guide the discussion. Those rooms are arranged by district and constituent groups. And just as a primer, I want people to be able to feel open to talk and share their stories, perspectives, or reactions, not just to what we're sharing today, but what's going on in their lives, so that your direct representatives can get a feel for you. Please ask questions. Please let other people speak. And again, always be respectful of each other. So, Miti, if you're able to, and I want to express some apology to Kara Dressler, who was speaking during our breakout meeting, got rudely interrupted. I couldn't.
Mike, you're self-muted.
Am I? Oh, I'm muted. Hello.
I can hear Mike okay.
Oh, it was you, Will.
That was me. I went and played with talk to Rose on the Spanish channel and turned off mute.
Okay. All right. Well, again, my apologies to Kara, who was speaking. Want to thank everybody for participating. Hopefully the legislative office has had a good opportunity to speak with our stakeholders and get a sense of our community. And just to reiterate a point that Will had brought up earlier when we were presenting this material, our community is really, think of us as everybody in that room has 10 people behind them that are impacted. So you have an opportunity here to engage with your constituents in a very meaningful way. And again, thank you for the legislative officers for being here. So I want to get back to the slides really quickly and come back to the ask. This is this is what we're looking for. This is what we're here. We're here to share with the legislative offices, both federally and statewide, of what we're looking for. Our community is looking for additional support for COVID relief and pandemic-related expenses, both on a state and federal level. I thought Congressman Swalwell did an excellent job of outlining some of the federal needs we have. without getting too wonky, but those are specifically aged home and community-based services and to maintain our FMAP percentage. On the state side, I know in our call with Ms. McCoy from Senator Skinner's office, you want to really make sure that we're hitting home the notion that we need the suspension language for the recent increases to be eliminated. It was really nice of the governor to push that off a year, but if you imagine us in a Looney Tunes cartoon, there's still an anvil that's right above our heads. And for service providers that are trying desperately to improve wage and work environments for the people who provide the support for our folks, that is super important. The other thing is that's been, we want to just continue to highlight on the state level is that system reform in terms of not just rates, but a way that services are rendered is really important. And a recent rate study was completed by the state, which basically indicated that California is $1.4 to $1.8 billion underfunded. And even the modest increases that had happened this year were due primarily to case load. There are more people entering the system and therefore the amount of money is there. But the amount of money that our programs, our service community, our families, and the people who provide service is really critical. And also, not to take away from that, but our regional centers need support as well. A lot of them have case management burdens that are too high in order to provide any kind of excellent service. And we could all use help to be able to improve our ability to access programming and improve our system technologically. So that is the heart of what we're looking for. It's not a laundry list. Feds give us some help. State, get rid of the 8.2. And just to kind of highlight some comments that are happening nationwide and statewide to give you some perspective, it's important for our legislative offices to understand or see that we are looking at this through a larger lens. President Biden released a disability platform where he wanted to prioritize and enact and implement policies that break down barriers for access for people with disabilities so they can live in their chosen community, give them opportunities for good jobs, finding affordable housing and accessible transportation, inclusive voting processes, and long-term services and supports. And for those that are looking on the state side, some of your colleagues who are supporters of our community across the state have shared their responses to the governor's budget that was released in January. Assemblymember Frazier from District 11, basically is saying that it's incumbent upon this governor and the legislature to protect this vulnerable population and provide equal access and opportunity for success in the workplace and the quality of life. Newly elected Senator Laird from Santa Cruz, simply put, ensuring rate increases past their sunset date is the right thing to do. We have to maintain our moral center and obligation to our folks. And Assemblymember Holden out of Los Angeles, the San Gabriel Valley, notes that intellectual and developmental disability service providers have gone above and beyond to serve their clients, making sacrifices in their own lives while being paid menial wages due to an outdated reimbursement system. Finally, Assemblymember Ting, who chairs the Assembly budget side, and again, Senator Skinner in our community here, chairs on the Senate side, he basically put out an Assembly budget blueprint, which is the 4 tenets of what the Assembly is looking for this year, which is preservation, protection, responding, and recovering. And his note on slide 4 is that we need to stabilize critical programs and services like ours. So again, just wanted to share some contact information for people that are here. Lisa Kleinbub, who's the executive director of RCB. Sheridan Nicolau, who's our regional manager here for the State Council of Developmental Disabilities. Ben Chen and Valle Barra, who represent Alameda County and Contra Costa County respectively. And then Will and myself and our PVAC co-chairs. We have a little more time. We actually finished quickly, but we also have a video that we want to show as well. So why don't you do that, Will?
All right.
I would really like to talk about our direct support staff. This year, more than any other, they have proven how valuable they are. I really feel the staff who have been giving services from day one since the pandemic started are really unsung heroes in our community. They come to work every day despite health and safety concerns, and I know my staff have been amazing and I'm so proud of them. And one of our concerns is last year, about a year ago, we got an 8.2% increase. And I know for agencies like EBLC and many agencies in the state, that money went to raises. Unfortunately, there was suspension language in the bill, which suspends, which means that increase will go away in, I think it's December 2022. And that's something we just can't, you know, that's not okay. Our folks are so underpaid. Our staff are so underpaid compared to the value they provide to the people we support in the community. So please, let's get rid of that suspension language. It's so critical as it is in the Bay Area. It's so expensive to live, and our folks, you know, they deserve a living wage. So thank you.
So I have 24/7 staff at the moment. If I didn't have the money or the services, I wouldn't be able to live on my own because I need 24/7 assistance.
En mi vida personal ha afectado de una manera difícil porque antes yo trabajaba tiempo completo, estuve meses sin trabajo, volví a trabajar, pero ahora estoy trabajando solo medio tiempo.
With the services I get, and I thank God for it, that, you know, that it helps me a lot. The person helps them with homework and, you know, interacts with them because he does have bipolar. He has a lot of needs.
Not use our federal or state money and not touch the money that people need. I don't understand a lot. I don't know. The more details, the more I forget, the more I know. So that's my thing about remembering things. There's a lot, but I don't see any reason to not use the money that's been stored and not touch people's services that we all depend on. And some people cannot live without these services.
I haven't been able to get as much exercise in as I know I need to, especially with my heart health. I'm not able to see my mom. The only way I get to see her is over the phone, unfortunately. And I know my sisters, and I really want to actually be able to hug her, be able to see her more often, and we haven't for the past year.
Están encantados de estar aquí, les encanta estar en el programa. Ellos nos miran a nosotros como si fuéramos su segunda familia o su familia, ¿verdad? Y pues ellos también han sido muy afectados porque ellos no han podido salir, han estado encerrados en sus casas, no pueden hacer actividades diarias como hacían antes, que salían afuera a tomar el sol, a tomar un café, una dona, lo que sea, pero por lo menos se distraían. Ahora no pueden ni siquiera venir al programa, que aquí también tienen muchas oportunidades de recrearse, de hacer ejercicio, de tomar clases de yoga, clases de pintura, y pues muchas cosas que ellos hacen aquí que ahorita están estancados de no hacerla y que no la han podido hacer por la pandemia.
I am Jenna Gibney. I will be reading for Heidi Spalding. Okay, this pandemic of 2020 affected the entire world. The IDB community, like many, were forced to shelter in place. I'd like to focus on how my day program, Alive, helped me stay connected through virtual classes. When this all began, I gave up my apartment and moved back with my mom. I love being home and staying safe. Having never been homebody, I missed everything, doing my artwork, advocating, shopping, and having lunch with friends. It was a big change. Alive quickly helped us adapt with online Zoom classes. I now enjoy classes like cooking and art, but more importantly, it allows us to see each other every day. Please help us continue our service.
You know, enough is enough. Stop pilfering from our services. Stop taking money away. Stop asking us to beg. Just support us so that we can do the right thing and support the people that need it the most.
Back to you, Mike.
Great, thanks. You know, we have a few more minutes, but I just wanted to take this time to really thank all of you as attendees today, and being a really good voice for our community. Wanted to thank the legislative offices and all the attendees. Although this is a different approach than what we've done in the past where we've met in person, this is as effective as we can do now to make you hear our needs for our community and appreciate your partnership, as many of you have been very supportive of our community, and we're hoping that will continue as we move through this next year. And for those who are in the state legislative offices, we'd be remiss not to thank you for what you did for our community and many others last budget year to help preserve our system. And we're really hoping that, with the current situation, that our community continues to be weighed appropriately. Lastly, I just want to thank all the people who helped put this together, Manos Home Care and Futures Films for production of the videos that you've seen. I want to also publicly thank Mishi Choi from the Regional